Wayne's gonna be a minute late.
Okay.
Call the meeting to order, roll call.
And this.
Here.
And Anderson.
Here.
Here.
Here. He will be here in a minute or two. He said he was in Galveston. On the minutes, there's a correction, in the findings 5 and 6. We never voted on them. On the minutes, it shows that we all voted in favor, but we didn't. Is there any other? Pardon?
Shuffle.
Yes, I'm doing.
On the bottom of the page, same page, page 11, the last two items should be deleted, they're repeated.
Any other corrections? If not, a motion to accept them as amended.
So.
Second,
I think when they both did. All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Well, I guess the first one we have. You go ahead.
Okay. Notice of public hearing, please take notice that an application was received from the following persons for a variance of setback requirements. Bradley and Michelle Moll for the southeast quarter, northwest quarter, and west half, northeast quarter, part of the west half, northeast quarter, and northeast quarter, and northeast quarter, and northwest quarter, southeast quarter, and northeast quarter. Section 31, Township 103, Lane 6, Houston County, Minnesota, parcel 120272001. In Sheldon Township, a variance to reduce setback requirements for proposed dwelling. Section 3316, subdivision 6. Hearing on this application will be held at the Houston County Commissioners Room, City of Caledonia, Minnesota at 5 p.m. on Thursday, May 23rd, 2024. All persons having an interest in the matter will be given the opportunity to submit comments relative to the granting or denying of said application. Comments should be mailed to the Environmental Service Department, 304 South Market Street, Caledonia, Minnesota, 55921, or email to martin.eric@co.houston.mn.us. Must be received by Tuesday, May 14th, 2024. Comments in regard to the petition received by this date will be part of the public record and will be made available for review by the Board of Adjustment prior to the meeting. Houston County Board of Adjustment by Martin, zoning administrator.
Are the applicants here? You want to come up here front up here? Wayne is here if you want to put him down as being here.
Yep.
And if you want to explain to us what you're going to do.
Just gonna add a dwelling onto my existing building there. It would be a 2-story, 780 square feet per floor.
You have a pole shed there now,
I
right?
do, yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's just gonna be on the west side of that.
I'm assuming you check that's on a different 40 than the house.
Yes. It's an open port.
Okay.
So how many square feet was that?
I believe it was 780 per floor. So it's a 2-story,
About 1,400 total.
1,500.
Yeah.
This is not on ag land though, is it?
Well, it's not a tillable ag. But it's in the ag protection district.
Oh. You can see it from the road.
And not only that, it's not an area that's been tilled.
Nope.
easily in the last 10 years. So.
Kind of right next to a bank, I think, or a little bench, there's a little bank.
There's a little bench there, yep, and then it goes off kind of down towards that feedlot, so I'm actually up on that bench right there. Exactly.
Well, Wayne's and.
Sheldon Township,
Committee.
Sheldon Township Supervisor, we looked at it and we didn't have a problem with it.
Does the board have any questions, comments on
We've run into this before where we grant these variances. I guess from my perspective, again, what impact does it have to the existing feedlot? The only way that this seems to be reasonable to me is if that we exempt the existing feedlot from a variance because of the variance that we grant to these people, because we're infringing basically on their rights that have been granted as a feedlot. And it doesn't make sense to do this unless we somehow can exempt them from being limited by the variance that we grant here tonight. Does that make sense?
I know what you're getting at. In other words, why should innocent party be encumbered with?
Exactly.
Right.
It's like, it tends to be a rule that works both directions. If they were going to increase their capacity, they would also have to be going the other direction, once yours was built. And I understand that. And I talked with our attorney, Sam Yant, about it, and he's like, we didn't really see any way to go around. The one somewhat mitigating situation is this is just for 6 horses. And it's basically, yeah, and it's because they registered the feedlot is what brought this in the first place. So if they would not have registered it, they'd still have the 6 weeks.
Well, Ken is right. I've had this problem too. And we've talked about it, and the only way, and I don't know if that's feasible or not, but to change the zoning ordinance to word it differently, to protect the feedlot.
And I think that would be, the cleanest would be somehow to provide some sort of an opportunity. And I'm not sure where that would land with, is there state overriding controls that may get into this?
I think we have to get rid of this. Because statute requires that if you're going to have feedlot setback, you have to have a reciprocal. Well, so we can't just get rid of one and allow the other.
Why couldn't we grant this variance with the stipulation that it not affect the feedlot in any way, shape, or form?
I asked Sam that before, and I got the impression from him is that it also has, they also have to be part of the situation. So, I mean, it's not to say they wouldn't, but it's,
So let
I
me
don't
ask,
have a great answer for you.
let me ask this question for you then. If the zoning ordinance was changed, couldn't it be worded differently?
We could probably change the numbers. As far as that goes, we could make it. I think we could probably do that.
In some counties, I think, do a tiered system based on number of animal units.
Right.
Be great, because all of them that we deal with lately are for pretty minor.
That's the crux.
So if we grant this ordinance and this guy wants to expand, the neighbor wants to expand his feedlot, he'll have to get a variance because of what we've done here tonight if we grant this variance.
Yes.
That's what's wrong. And I hate to make you a test case, but somehow we got to sort this out and get this straightened out so that we can begin to grant these variances without affecting the feedlot, the neighboring feedlot, in a detrimental way. And even though it's only 6 horses now, we're making rules that that are perpetual. They go into the future, no matter who the owner is or what they want to do with that property.
You know, probably the easiest way to get relief. This issue would be. To, as part of a rural package, which obviously is gonna happen. And then the distance likely could be revised. I don't know if the definition. One unit could be revised, whether it's the whole concept of registration. Would be given consideration, so there's 3 or 4 pivotal things,
Are you talking generally, as a general rule?
yeah.
What about if we went to this landowner? The neighbor and revise the setback with him,
Well,
if he's agreeable.
well, what I can tell you is that the landowner did call, Paulson's did call, and they're supporting this.
Yeah, and that's my point.
They definitely were supporting. I have them on,
And again,
but that's not exactly it.
he's the owner now. And you gotta go to the future. My thought was, is if we simply revise the setback between these two parties. Can we do that?
What about, you, instead of just a variance for the house residential for the house? Can we also at the same time be granting all the feedlot a variance on that house? At this same time,
I think that would almost have to be that we'd have to get input from. But. I don't have an answer.
I mean, that might be, again, research it.
Yeah, and I certainly did with Sam. Wasn't getting a lot of, wasn't getting.
No,
How many years ago back did that happen to you? That was many years ago.
yeah. Probably 10 years ago. All the board ever said, well, we'll grant a variance.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
they would went down the minutes and the two would grant a variance.
I mean, the other thing could be is, this isn't exactly what you're after, but you could, make it fairly clear that you grant the variance and waive the fee. That may help, but that's not necessarily.
Grant the variance for who?
Or, well,
Or if
like
the
say
feedlot
you-
party, they
say
wanted
the people,
feedlot.
of course, if they needed a variance, you could agree to waive the fee.
Assuming
I mean,
that
that helps.
assuming the board
Yeah.
approves.
Right.
Could be a different board,
Absolutely.
you know,
Was there any public comments on this? Other than the neighbor? I mean, is there anybody in the public here?
All, yeah. But I will say that all comments that we got were in favor, no objections.
I believe we had 3 of the neighbors around us that
Absolutely.
was in favor of it.
No,
Not-
it was.
Not to simplify your comment, because I totally understand that.
and I'm not raising this issue. I don't have any problem with granting a variance to you. Only in the sense that by doing so, it affects the neighbor. We gotta figure this out somehow, because we've been doing this all along.
Yeah.
And it's just the wrong way to handle it. And somehow. Are you on a time schedule?
We were hoping to move fairly quickly, but I mean,
Would a month,
obviously, we're at you guys' mercy, so.
would a month kill you?
Would we have a answer to
A little
this
bit.
I don't.
problem in a month?
I don't. Ken brought it up last time, we looked to Sam on that. They didn't get him.
Would,
Not changing it.
That,
That's what-
Yeah.
And I don't wanna change
It's a
the
long
ordinance.
time process to do any
that would
change.
be the planning commission.
I think the biggest one is to put it in, so the minutes that we want to make sure that if Paulson's need to expand their feedlot, that this will not bother them. Interfere.
Affect the-
That's gotta be part of the minutes of this hearing.
I mean, those comments certainly can go in. Yeah, sure. And, down the road, minutes are certainly looked at when you're doing research on trying to figure out what happened a number of years ago. I mean, that happens.
Anything else the board wants to talk about?
What comments did you get from the feedlot committee?
The comments were all good. Everybody was okay. Cindy Ray was good with it, Wayne. Jim, Larry. So, we have the board.
So what kind of language can we include? As far as comments? So that it would influence anybody else in the future.
We could certainly say we think any future variances for parties that are affected by this should not have be. I mean, that would certainly be one that would be,
Yeah.
he's not.
The variance goes with the parcel, so you can't name the owner now, can you?
Not really.
No,
It's the parcel ID.
Right.
It's the-
Well, they can just come there and stay there.
Yeah, it's.
Oh, not yet, but
it,
I'm sure.
So,
I'm okay if we can, I guess I'm okay with it if we include language, but this is just not the right way to handle this and I don't want to hold them up. And it's not likely to be a problem, but that's not what we're here for, to create problems in the
Well,
future and.
And realize the Board of Adjustment really addresses things that are existing. Your planning commission are the people that do more of the looking at official controls that would go along with the revision to a rule. You know, and certainly take the input, but that's more their role.
Well,
As far as that. Kick it from one person, it's kind of the situation.
no,
all right,
Moving on.
ready for the findings?
Yes.
yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, number one, findings required. The variance request is in harmony with the intent and purpose of official controls, staff analysis. Protection of agriculture is a primary goal of the comprehensive land use plan, and permitting dwellings within 1,320 feet of a registered feedlot is allowed.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Go ahead.
Number two, there are practical difficulties in complying with the official controls, and the proposed use of the property is reasonable. Economic considerations alone do not constitute practical difficulties. Staff analysis, the variance associated with the proposed dwelling is a reasonable means to conform to the zoning ordinances, as well as using existing infrastructure from the land with minimal agricultural value.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed, nay. Go ahead.
Number three, the variance request is due to special conditions and circumstances unique to the property and not created by the property owner. Staff analysis, setback variance for the feedlot factors into existing utilities and the use of marginal agricultural land close to existing structure. This is an efficient use of existing site conditions.
All in favor of three, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go ahead.
Number four, the variance cannot be alleviated by a reasonable method other than variance, and the minimum variance which would alleviate the practical difficulty is some. Staff analysis, the setback variance is the most practical approach to the permit. To permit the proposed dwelling close to the existing utilities and encourage continued agricultural activities for the parcel.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go ahead.
Number five, the variance will not alter the essential character of the locality nor substantially impair property values for the public health, safety, or welfare in the vicinity. Staff analysis, the variance with proper septic compliance will improve the environment.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Go ahead.
Number six, the request is not a use variance and shall not have the effect of allowing any use that is not allowed in the zoning district. Permit a lower degree of flood protection than the regulatory flood protection elevation, or permit standards lower than those required by state law. Staff analysis, the request is an area variance, and the location is not in the immediate vicinity of floodplain, nor does it permit standards lower than those required by state law.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Make a motion to accept the findings.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I guess you'll be working with them on that. Thank you for coming in.
Yep.
I'll make the motion to grant a variance of 258 feet from the required 1,320 feet feedlot setback for the proposed dwelling.
No second.
I'm getting a horse ahead of the cart here. We got a motion to accept it, the variance. Motion and seconding. Any discussion on before we vote?
Yeah, I'd like to add the language that we talked about.
For fees,
Well, more than that, you know, granting this variance is not intended to encumber the neighbor and his rights to affect his rights on that feedlot, and also to waive any fees required. Somewhere along the line, we've got to show the intent that the neighboring property isn't encumbered or damaged by granting this variance. And again, it's probably not going to be a problem now, but we've got to do these things in terms of different owners in the future. So I guess language to that effect. I don't know, maybe there's a better way to say it.
no, I thought you were gonna get, that you're doing pretty good.
Well, thank you very much. I've been here all week. Well, it's not a condition on their part. It's essentially, we're granting a variance with those, with that understanding that the neighbor will not be affected by this variance, will not be required to get a variance because we're granting it today. And that if in fact he applies for a variance for some reason, because our language isn't persuasive enough, or at least we waive the fee for that.
Let me ask
He
you a
would still
question.
be able to have his feedlot.
Yes,
Well, what I've got so far is I'm thinking on. Granting this variance is not intended to encumber parcel maybe policies, whatever their person maybe would be. For a feedlot variance and recommend waiving fees. For their bigger feedlot variance.
Do we have the authority as a board, and I'm not trying to throw a monkey or anything, but do we have authority as a board to change or add to the zoning policy as it is stated now, or isn't it stated that?
Don't know, so it's, I mean, I don't think it's ever gotten that specific. The policies are, goals and policies as they relate to the comprehensive land use plan, say protect agriculture or something on that, they usually have not got that specific to feedlot per se.
So
my
this
intent
is
here-
not,
oh, I'm sorry. My intent is not to change the feedlot numbers or anything. I just want to make sure that when we grant these variances, and I support them, that we don't encumber
Yeah.
the neighboring property.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't want to go through zoning changes or change setbacks and all that sort of thing. I just don't want to encumber the neighbor.
so is this added? Is this just added, or is this added to? We have a motion and seconded, is this, how did you want this? Did you want it just added in the minutes? Did you want it recorded? Not necessarily recorded, but part of the application for the house, or how?
I'd like this language included with the motion so that it's on the record. And it, you know,
It's almost got to be a condition of, in a way, that if we ever research that permit later on, we can find that.
We can
Mark.
certainly,
That's what I'm
we
thinking.
can certainly go in the minutes.
Because I guess what you're saying, I just asked because if it's a condition, we want specifically your language or how you want that building to put in.
well, it's not a condition on these people because no, you know, it to affect the neighbor. Yeah, and I'd like that language included with the approval of the variance so that it's there in front of everybody when they see it. It doesn't get lost in minutes someplace. That would be my preference.
So if we just say you approve that variance with it noted on the back of the permit that is not the board of adjustments. Neighboring property for the future feedlot.
I'm okay with that.
So now,
Good.
in order to get this right now, you'll have to withdraw your motion. If you want to do that, so that the motion is written the way it's written, and then we'll have a motion to accept it if you want to withdraw.
So move, yeah.
Second,
So, all in favor of that?
I,
Okay, all right, so then. How do you want that who wants to make it? Are you gonna make the motion and how it's written?
I'll move we grant this variance with the understanding and language to the effect that granting this variance is not intended to encumber or affect the neighboring feedlot in any way.
Make it parcel.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Does that say it?
That
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
And me, it's correct.
I'll second that.
Is there any more discussion on before we vote?
I'm satisfied.
Okay, roll call vote.
Ken Bisker,
Aye.
Nick Anderson,
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
Jim Weezer.
I,
now.
Now we're good.
Now you're good to go.
I was trying to hurry you along to get building your home.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
good luck.
No, they didn't.
Oh. Let's see, again, 520.
Yep.
Go ahead, then.
Okay. Notice of public hearing, please take notice that an application was received from the following persons for a variance of setback. Requirements Thomas Van Gundy, part of the northwest border, part of the southeast border of the northwest border, section 12, township 104, range 7, Houston County, Minnesota, parcel 10-0142000. Honey Creek Township variance to reduce setback requirements for proposed storage structure, section 14.9 subdivision 1. Hearing on this application will be held at the Houston County Commission of the City of Caledonia, Minnesota at 5:20 p.m. on Thursday, May 23rd, 2024. All persons having an interest in the matter will be given the opportunity to submit comments relative to the granting or denying of said application. Comment should be mailed to the Environmental Services Department, 304 South Market Street, Caledonia, Minnesota 55921. Email to martin.eric@co.houston.mn.us. Must be received by Tuesday, May 14th, 2024. Comments in regard to the petition received by this date will be part of the public record and will be made available for review by the Board of Adjustment prior to the meeting. Houston County Board of Adjustment by Martin Herrick, zoning administrator.
And the applicants here. Will come up. Tell us what your plan is.
The plan is to put up a 36 by 36 garage storage. Flat, cement slab structure with a framework.
So,
Be for cold storage.
okay. So is this like a pole shed type?
It'll be a pole shed type, possibly finish off the inside. Not at the time.
Okay.
Lawnmowers,
So it's not a dwelling, it's more just a storage shed, correct?
correct.
Okay.
And the reason you're citing it here,
Pardon me?
the reason that you're citing the structure where it is,
For power. And building, I guess,
I haven't been there. What about behind the house?
power runs through there. Main power line, have to move that.
Okay. So this is the only place that is feasible to build?
I think so, without obstructing the view of the house.
The other side of the house would have second location for septic.
Okay.
There is some elevation differences, what you will find on the north side where this is being proposed. You'll see a retaining wall and then there's an LP tank. So there is a bit of an elevation change there. So the logistics of trying to drive that in get a little tougher. What you'll also find is that there are setbacks around the perimeter of the 50 foot. And then there is a setback from the highway in addition. So it's got roads on two sides that start to occupy a chunk of it, but not all.
And you concur that this is the best place to put it?
It's probably the most realistic, viable location. What is a little bit interesting is he's not in this area, but he's not far from the residential district. And if that were to change, then the requirements would really start to change. Because in that situation, you can't have the house, can't have a building in front of the house. Not that he's in that category, because he's not.
Okay.
But if we were in, then that would get rid of all.
It's very close to Money Creek.
Oh, yeah, I know. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, you get 76. Yeah.
Any, question?
And on the south is where your second septic system is? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yep.
Okay. And where that is sacred. Can't mess with that.
Right.
Okay. No more questions.
And do we have any comments in the mail or from the public on this?
This one,
Okay. Anybody, public, anybody? Anything else you want folks want to discuss?
Good. The field to the north is ag. Looks like a
Big open field.
Yeah.
Right. The field to the north that you're with property variance is from, that's just a big open field right now.
correct.
So is that bug shaped
Yes.
field? So he's okay with it?
What is, your building would be about, what, 14 feet from the property line then?
14 to 20. It's. Yeah. I don't know if you count the overhang.
We do.
Okay.
If the overhang has posts,
Yep.
if it's cantilevered, you would not, but if where the posts contact the ground, that's, I mean, it's fine. The reference.
Any other discussion? We'll move on to the findings.
Subdivision 1, findings required. Number 1, variance request is in harmony with the intent and purpose of official controls. Staff analysis. The residents and the proposed accessory structure are located in non-tillable acreage, aiding the preservation of commercial agriculture, which is a goal of the comprehensive land use.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Go ahead.
Number 2, there are practical difficulties in complying with the official controls, and the proposed use of the property is reasonable. Economic considerations alone do not constitute practical difficulties. Staff analysis concerning the proposed building, any resolution within the variance would involve the acquisition of additional land for substantial earthwork. The proposal fits the lot's terrain, which has limited buildable locations, including the need for a second location for a septic system.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go ahead.
Number three, the variance request is due to special conditions or circumstances unique to the property and not created by the property owner. Staff analysis. The parcel has limited buildable locations due to the local steep terrain. The owner's limited options to resolve the issue would represent a special condition not created by the property owner. The board may further find that the limited areas represent a special condition.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Go ahead.
Number four, the variance cannot be alleviated by a reasonable method other than a variance, and the minimum variance which would alleviate the practical difficulty is sought. Staff analysis, the board may find that the variance related to the proposed building is the only way to feasibly resolve the setback issue, and that the 36-foot variance to the 50-foot rear yard setback is the minimum variance that would alleviate the practical difficulty of limited buildable space.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go ahead.
Number five, the variance will not alter the essential character of the locality nor substantially impair property values or the public health, safety, or welfare in the vicinity. Staff analysis, the proposed accessory structure fits the terrain and the driveway. The structure will not have a septic system for any commercial activities. The addition of the structure is not anticipated to have any effect on the above criteria.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Go ahead.
Number six, the request is not a use variance and shall not have the effect of allowing any use that is not allowed in the zoning district to get a lower degree of flood protection and the regulatory flood protection elevation or permit standards lower than those required by state law. Staff analysis, non-attached structures are allowed accessory buildings for a single family dwelling in the agricultural district. There is no map floodplain on the parcel. There are no known state standards applicable to the areas.
All in favor of six, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. There a motion to accept the findings?
Make a motion to accept the findings.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Now then, if there isn't any more discussion, unless there is, then motion for the variance, if there's any discussion, okay.
I move we grant a variance of 36 feet setback from the north property line.
I'll second that.
Any more discussion? All in, we have roll call.
Okay. Ken Visker.
Aye.
Ken Anderson.
Aye.
Franklin Martin.
Aye.
Aye.
Tim Weezer.
Aye.
Now you're good to go. Thank you. Everything is ready. Yeah, I do. All right, yeah,
Okay. Notice of public hearing, please take notice that an application was received from the following persons for a variance of setback requirement. Peter Shufflebotham and Kate Woodward for part of the northwest quarter to southwest quarter, section 3, township 103, range 4, Houston County, Minnesota, parcel 0500310001, Boca Township. The variance to reduce front yard setback requirements for the proposed dwelling, section 14.7, subdivision 3. Number 2, a variance to reduce rear yard setback standards for proposed dwelling, section 14.9, subdivision 1. Number 3, variance to reduce setback from total block proposed dwelling, section 2917, subdivision 2. Hearing on this application will be held at the Houston County Commissioners Room, City of Caledonia, Minnesota, at 5:40 p.m. on Thursday, May 23rd, 2024. All persons having an interest in the matter will be given the opportunity to submit comments relative to the granting or denying of said application. Comments should be mailed to the Environmental Services Department, 304 South Marshall Street, Caledonia, Minnesota, 55921, or email to martin.herrick@co.houston.mn.us. Must be received by Tuesday, May 14th, 2024. Comments in regard to the petition received by this date will be part of the public record and will be made available for review by the Board of Adjustment prior to the meeting. Houston County Board of Adjustment by Martin Herrick is the lead administrator.
come up.
Table. To have a motion to return to the table,
Yeah, I mean, there's basically.
because technically we have had this hearing
Yeah,
before,
you
so,
need to reopen this hearing.
okay, a motion to bring up the table motion, hearing.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make that motion to bring it up.
And then it's a motion.
Second.
And Mr. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So what's the new plan this?
The new, as we meet again, the new plan is we shrunk. We did what you guys had suggested and shrunk the structure. And are able to now put a septic system in that conforms with the house. And it is not in. It's off to the side, as I think, Martin, did you?
Yeah, I can.
So as you can see, it's not in the right of way or in the encroachment as well. So we shrunk the house size dramatically.
And you don't have a garage for your motorhome.
We do, that's still on,
That's still on there.
but we shrunk it this way. We still have it 40 wide, but we shrunk it this way to be able to get that septic in there.
When I'm looking at that map of the septic, I'm just kind of seeing how close it is to the toe of the slope and top of the slope and the corners. A little concerned there in the
That one's probably, that one's not beyond the edge of the house, and the edge of the house actually was 25 feet away from the slope on that side.
Okay.
The
I'm
other-
just
the other
glancing
side
at the
is
map
where-
and it's hard to get
is
to
where-
the actual measurements from them, so.
Where the restriction is.
So if you took that mobile home and moved it to the north a little ways up. That's where we get that, I mean, the mobile home's about 80 feet long. And this is 90, so if you just took where that mobile home is and move it up. So we're 10 feet longer than what the mobile home is now.
Okay.
Is what the dwelling structure is, so that gives the allowance to put the septic over there. In that flat area.
Then another key point on this too, and this is very unique, is that this had a septic system prior to January, is it 23rd, 1996, something like that?
Yeah.
And so it's not required to have a second system.
We did that, is the ordinance changed? Is that,
Basically, that's when the rule came in from the MPCA requiring this backup system for the drain fields. And so this was in place prior to.
This is grandfather.
So. The water went in 2013. When it came down that ravine. Welke Drive goes if you're facing north. Welke Drive goes up the hill and then there's a big ravine and then this steep bluff where the trailer house is. In 2013, when I washed the front yard out, that great big hole. The water came off the bluff. And of course, we all know it runs downhill. Went into that ravine and came down, and that's what created the big washout. I did some research. So now. The house or the septic, whatever, and that happens again. That's gonna wash that away.
Far enough.
We're far enough away from the ravine on this side and that side.
So when you put this big wall in, where's the water gonna go in this big wall?
It's not a big, I mean, the wall is 7 feet tall at the highest point and then tapers down.
I know, but where's the water gonna go when it comes off the bluff? They're gonna run,
It's gonna
it's
run
gonna run to the north, it's gonna run to the south.
to the north. Most of it
Well,
will
that's
run
where
to
the
the
big
north.
washout came from last time. Was from the north. Where your camper is
Yeah.
now, or, yeah. That's where the big water came.
Okay.
In 2013, when we
Yeah.
had the big bluff.
So that's not by the house or the. Or the septic is on the other side. On the far side. Where the camper is now, the septic's on the far other end of the lot.
So the,
The lower end.
Correct.
well, I've had a lot of phone calls on this one. Dave Walters, he says. You guys have got to start sticking to the zoning ordinance rules. When you start bending them, he said, and you dig into the hill, he said, you guys are gonna get in trouble. So I don't know what.
Well, I did talk to him as well. And he was informed that there was a 15-foot tall retaining wall going in there, and it is only 7. So,
Well, he got a packet, cause he called me after he
Yeah,
got,
I need to.
Okay.
that's what I'm basing it on.
And this was designed. How is this retaining wall designed?
It isn't.
Oh,
it isn't,
Right.
it will be designed by an engineer.
right.
Construction engineer.
So how do you know how tall it is right now?
Because that's how far back I need to go. It's 7 feet
Okay,
to. At
To
least give me a
total slope.
backyard area.
7 feet to the setback? I'm
Oh,
confused.
no,
Oh, no.
I'm following it right.
The height of-
I believe he's saying from a 7-foot elevation, if you're in the yard.
Oh, okay.
Looking in.
Yeah, sorry.
vertical,
I-
Sorry.
okay,
There's still
okay.
So then the well is 50 feet from the house or the septic?
50 feet from the septic, it has to be 50 feet, as long as it's 270, it's 276 feet deep, has to be 50 feet or more. To be 50 feet from the septic, yes, so the septic is actually about 75 feet from the well. And the well is 276 feet, so it meets that criteria,
that's the.
the depth, sorry, the depth of the well. I said width. My fault.
So did we get a lot of comments on this?
In this section, no, I mean, there's been certainly been comments, I mean, we went to the Boca Town. Meeting earlier in the week, and there were some certain comments that came there. There were 2 people that were against it. The board, my takeaway was that they said, okay. Based on the idea that a professional engineer would do the design. Is that your takeaway? Jim?
I agree with, what you stated, that it was a basic takeaway from the board that, you know, with reservations, they were concerned about the retaining wall, but in the end, they did come around to say that they were in favor of the proposal, the variance.
I talked to one of the supervisors and that supervisor told me if you can fit a house in there, that was his take on it. And follow all the zoning ordinances without bending the rules, it's all right. But he says you can't fit a house in there and follow the ordinances. That was his take comment. That's all I know. I think what we got here is we got a foot that's about 13, size 13, takes a 14 shoe. And we're trying to stuff that in an 8 shoe, size shoe. I think that's what we're doing here. It's another thing that bothers me a little bit is I know you found a loophole, Martin. But 2 years ago, I think 2 years ago, we turned one down because it was 9/10 of an acre. And we had the ordinance that it had to be an acre, and we didn't spend our any time. So now you found a loophole, the way I understand it, so you can get them down to 9/10. So then if the board, and I'm just throwing this out, as we try and be fair and use everybody pretty much the same. So then next month or next year, somebody comes in and says, ooh, I got 8.95. Well, that's so close to 9 acres, we can slip that in. So is this gonna be a trend that we're gonna continue to do here now, or are we gonna stick to, I'm asking.
Can you explain again the 0.9 acre
Yeah,
exemption?
I mean, our guidance documents that have been available for 10, 15 years. They're trying to put them together, maybe Bob Stanley, they talk about the 0.9, the 10% allowance for only certain things. And one of them happens to be- So that's what that comes in. Then 0.895, there is a discussion on significant figures on how to apply. You're rounding as well, so. You know, as far as that goes, but the 0.9 definitely is in full guidance. Yeah, we can do that too.
That's on the bottom of the page. Well, I guess I don't have a page here.
Okay, buildable lot is the definition under 3.6. Is a lot of record or other lot tract or parcel legally recorded with county recorder that meets the requirements of the ordinance. Buildings or structures shall not be permitted on land which has a slope of 24% or greater. The buildable lot shall have the minimum lot area required for a district in which it is located, in which not more than 10% of the required lot area is collectively comprised of area of slope of 24% or greater. I hopefully I have it.
Now, does that apply? How does that apply to this specific? Is it,
It's in the areas that, when you look at the back of their lot, there would be areas that are over 24%, so that's what it would be.
and that's less than 0.1% of the,
It's, well, it's way more than that. I mean, the lot is probably 3 or 4 acres.
That's
Okay, but it's a case of, can you add it up and get to 0.9? Well, when you take in that 10%, that's how you get. You
Yeah.
get to 0.9. Definitely, you don't get to 1, that's for sure.
In 14, it says all non-farm dwellings shall be located on the.
So. With the 0.9, they're legal. That's not an issue.
I mean, it's here.
So that's not a variance. We don't have to deal with it. The septic system is designed by a professional and only requires one system, doesn't require backup by law. The slope requirement in the back is going to be certified by an engineer in how to design and build it.
Made that very clear to them. Came in, proposed this, I'm like, this is gonna take a lot.
So really, the only thing that we're dealing with that is not in compliance is the setback. Is that,
There's from the back of the property and from the center of the front.
Property.
I'm struggling with why we're treating this differently than we have many other situations. We've granted total bluff and top of bluff setbacks without engineering many times in the past.
Less.
And the highway setback or the road setback doesn't seem unreasonable to me either. So I'm wondering where the problem with
I guess
this.
my biggest concern is probably the fact that it's just such a narrow lot. You're
Too
getting a
small.
variance on both the side, front and back. Instead of where oftentimes we have a variance on the front and a side to get that, but not squeezing it.
See
If
the
you look
hill,
at your thing, if you had 24 feet or something like that of buildable lot without a variance. From the
24% slope, is that what you?
I think it was the total slope or if you could take the total slope and the road setback, you only have 24 feet. That's it's
I
in
see.
between that without a variance.
Basically,
And it's just, I'm just bothered by how many variances we need. And
You need
you're
two.
practically doing the same thing for the septic. Because normally we would require two.
We can't require anything.
We
It's
can't
by
do it,
law.
but
you see, I have to take the perspective. Can I defend?
Yeah.
The number of things.
The septic is legal. We don't have to rule on it. There's nothing we can say or do about that. That's a legal septic system. Right?
I mean, if it meets that 1996.
Well, I guess, it's a little bothered by the closeness to that top of the slope. If you have a overflowing, is it going to start eroding everything else below it? That's part of our concern on one of those, like Crescent Heritage, it was septic was been down by the road but that was high above. And we denied that one.
Yeah, what bothers me though is we're acting as engineers and septic installers, and I don't think that's our role. I think we need to stay away from second guessing the experts. I think that's where we can get in trouble. None of us have those kinds of skills and expertise. And when we start, particularly when we have requirements for experts to design and do these things, and then we start second guessing the experts, I think it puts us it puts us in jeopardy in making decisions.
So if we-
let's, I'm sorry.
so if we place a condition, as far as 1.3 safety factor on the retaining wall, should we put that as condition on the variance then? Is that what you mean? Something like that?
Well, it already is a condition that the wall or the toe of the bluff part of it, which that's the part that concerns me the most as well, has to be designed by an engineer.
Right.
Yeah,
That's already been part of it. Is that right?
yeah, I mean, and that's basically what I'm saying. Where the factor of safety is gonna come from is this, they're gonna run a mod. Stability mod. And in that, it'll basically sum up the forces being pushed up the hill versus down the hill, and then factor in the design for the mechanism that's gonna resist it, and then it has to divide out to be.
If what he designs isn't acceptable, who makes that final decision?
We will,
You do.
Yeah.
So the homeowner doesn't have any influence over that.
yeah, no, I mean, 1.3 is not super easy. That's just the way to most concisely boil this down.
But if you can't reach that and the house doesn't fit, it's no deal.
He'll know pretty quick.
Yeah.
Basically, they'll take a look at it.
Okay.
And they can run that study without going through a lot of the other iterations.
Okay.
let's, we'll go back to the board question. Let's see if there's any comments out there from the public.
I'm wondering how far, with this 7 foot wall, how far back in the hill is gonna be dug before this 7 foot wall goes in? And what was the recommendation by the soil and water? I'm the district supervisor for that district. And we just wanna know how far back this, now, the other night was 11 feet or something high.
Nope, it was always 7. It was set for 7, even at the board meeting.
How many feet in the ground then do they?
That's the vertical part, I think he was asking.
How far in?
Right.
How far in?
To the
How far
toe of
from
the
the
hill.
toe of- from the toe of the bluff, how far
Relative
back
to the
are you
building.
digging?
Relative to the building? It'll probably give us about 8 feet, 9 feet. 9 feet probably. I would say 9. Well, behind the structure,
How far back you have to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In.
To get the.
Into the hill.
Design.
Here's the house,
We can-
here's the slope. How far back into the slope?
between the end of the retaining wall and the house, is
Yeah,
that what we're looking for, that distance?
no, no, where the retaining wall, between the retaining wall and the house, how far is that?
That's gonna be about 15 feet. And then we're digging back into the bluff probably about 8 feet. And it reaches about my eye level.
Which
Which
is
I'm,
where Dave Walker.
6 foot. I'm 6'6", so this is about 6'1".
That's
But
where
again,
Dave Walters
roughly.
had the problem when you start disturbing that steep wall.
Yeah.
That was his big concern.
That's right.
Yes,
Yeah.
another comment.
You got an ordinance that says you gotta have an acre to build a house. How are we readjusting that? You got an ordinance that says you gotta be 50 foot from the door of the hill to build. How we're gonna let them build and then do the hill all that time? What's our ordinance? You're supposed to be 50 feet away from the well, the new house. That's an ordinance.
That's for this.
So are we gonna just throw the ordinances out or are we gonna abide by our ordinance?
I brought that comment up a little while ago. I thought ordinance asked the board what they wanted to do. But I appreciate your comment. Any more comments from the public? We got some written ones, or don't we have any written ones?
We don't have additional.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're talking about ordinance. Violent variances. Why are we allowing variances for everything else, but not this? Isn't that the whole point of the variance? You have ordinance, you don't need them, you have variance. Discuss it. Why is this case so different?
We had one 2 years ago that we turned down because it, like I said before, it wasn't an acre, we didn't even hardly discuss it, we turned it down.
There were many more issues with that one.
Yeah.
Than the acreage. The
We're talking like Crescent Hills.
Crescent Hill, that was,
There were a lot of settlements.
Yeah. Wayne wants to say something.
Okay, so I'm looking at this and I see this trailer here. And it looks like this building permit is a 12 by 65 trailer.
That's the original.
That's the original, this,
Yeah, there's a new one in there.
so this is. What is this one in here now? Okay. And it looks like a perfect fit. Because it's a small area. And that trailer is the perfect fit. Now we're trying to, and that trailer is about what, 750 square feet?
No, it's like, well, a little over 1,200.
Beacon said 1260.
Okay, so we're going 3 times bigger than that. So I'm trying to imagine how this is gonna fit in there. Along with septic, well, and, you know, whatever else is out there. Like a couple of garden sheds and.
There's no garden sheds. Those are getting toward all.
Anyway, I'm trying to fit it in there and see how this fits, and it doesn't look like it's working for me.
That's the
And
measurements.
you're digging into the toe of the hill.
I'm putting it right here.
That's where I got the problem.
It needs a
It
retaining. wall.
doesn't look like it's gonna fit in that small piece of property.
Some hundred stuff.
There isn't a setback for the house from the well, is there?
3 feet.
3 feet.
Any more public comments? Any, more discussion from the board, question? If not, we'll go to the findings. If the findings fail, and I'm not saying they will, if the findings fail, there will be, oh, I have one more question. Sorry about that. Last meeting, unless I heard them, we were told, I could have heard them, that they could put a house in there without a variance. Is that correct?
I mean, if you can meet the setback requirements, they would need a conditional use permit to do so, because it's been too long, the existing structure that's been in an unoccupied abandoned state. Once it got that conditional use permit, yes,
So,
If
so
it's
how
small,
the,
if it's small enough,
right.
it would fit within the,
so that use permit you're talking about, is that something that you can do, or is that something that the zoning board,
The planning commission,
planning commission, yeah?
Now I'm confused, because what, if we granted variances, they don't need a conditional use?
No,
they need both.
They need both, oh, they still need it, okay.
That's on the hearing.
That's fine.
If this one to be approved, that's the next item. If it's not approved, then
Gotcha.
the conditional use is done. Or
well, I wanted to clarify that so that the board clearly, and especially myself, clearly understood that they couldn't, and I'm not advocating that or trying to twist
Everything we're
it.
dealing with is the building that's being proposed,
I know that.
not as though they're building something smaller than that. So.
All right, if there, we can discuss later. Yes,
We were talking about the toe of the hill. So you can't build, you gotta stay 50 feet from the toe of the hill. If you stay 50 feet from the toe of the hill, you're gonna be right there in the ditch.
sorry, it's 25 feet. Is this.
You get 25 feet, you do it through the top, of the driveway road, could be down there in the- because- Yeah, big hill. You don't think I already-
You need to clarify. For everybody. They, this is an existing site at 1 acre, they meet that standard, they have the 9 buildable. They, only need to show one septic location they have. And then, I guess just for their benefit, you said if they were to meet both standards, it would be 24 feet wide. And then I think, and then whatever. It's fine. So they're asking for relief from. The things in practical parts of the meeting. A dwelling size is 24 feet, and so they're asking to. And that's what you guys. They're asking for it on the side, and in front. The one on the rear is.
Two setbacks and the toe of the bluff. The toe of the bluff is gonna be resolved with an engineer's. Which we've never required before.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty
Yeah,
strict.
no, I
Yeah.
fully support that, but we've granted toe of the bluff.
I put a lot of
Variances
time
in the
and
past without
thoughts into it.
engineering.
Yeah. Usually just 5 or 6 foot, a less than 10 foot variance.
I mean, when Peter came in with this, he was like,
I'm not shooting from the hip. I put a
This
lot
is,
of
this
time,
is really big.
effort into this.
No, I see that, but we typically don't get these kinds of engineering and drawings with these kinds of requests, so obviously there's been some time and effort put in.
All right, let's go to the finding.
Okay, see. Number one, the variance requests are in harmony with the intent and purpose of official controls. Staff analysis, replacing a dwelling protects prime agricultural land, which is a goal of the comprehensive land use plan.
All in favor of one, say aye.
I,
Opposed, nay. Go ahead.
Want to do a roll call?
We better do, I think we better.
Roll
do
call.
that.
All right,
When they decided not to approve the finding, but we decided to table. it. So we're just starting on findings over, that's how you want to do it tonight.
so do you want to start with where we left off from the other finding? If you
Are these
if
the
we
same
start
one?
out from where we left off last time, it's already denied because we denied that one
But
finding.
we didn't accept the vote. We didn't officially accept the vote.
Start over, or I guess I just want to get that.
I would say with the new information, we should start over.
I agree.
I'll agree.
All right. Roll call vote.
Okay. Investor.
I,
And
Aye.
Franklin, Hunt,
Aye.
Wayne Running,
I,
Jim Weezer.
Aye.
Number two, there are practical difficulties in complying with the official controls and the proposed use of the property is reasonable. Economic considerations alone do not address the difficulty. Staff analysis, additional land is not available in the parcel's limited buildable area required variances to be setback. A largely single family dwelling is being proposed.
Roll call.
Ken Visser,
I,
Ken Anderson,
Aye.
Franklin Howard,
Aye.
Wayne Ronigan,
I,
Jim Weezer.
Aye.
Number three, the variance requests are due to special conditions or circumstances unique to the property and not created by the property owner. Staff analysis, sites, terrain, limits, placement of structures, which is a special condition not created by the property. Ken Visser,
I,
Ken Anderson,
Aye.
Franklin Hunt,
Aye.
Wayne Ronigan,
I,
Jim Weezer.
Aye.
Number four, the variances cannot be alleviated by a reasonable method other than variances, and the minimum variance which would alleviate the practical difficulties are sought. Staff analysis. Board may find that the variances related to the proposed dwelling are the only way to feasibly resolve the total block setback and the front and rear yard setbacks, and that the variances are the minimum that would alleviate the practical difficulty of limited building space, which was not created by the current owner of the property. Ken Visser,
I,
Ken Anderson,
Aye.
Franklin Hunt,
Nay.
Wayne Ronigan,
nay,
Jim Weezer.
I'll say aye with the additional language concerning the retaining wall structure needed to meet geotechnical specifications.
I guess I'd like to comment on that. The only way we're voting for the proposal that they have put together, not as though they could redesign it. So the only way they can get this one in is with a variance.
Right. Yeah.
That's why I say aye to it.
Go ahead.
Number five, the variances will not alter the essential character of the locality nor substantially impair property values or the public health, safety, or welfare in the vicinity. Staff analysis, granting the variances will not have a negative impact on the criteria listed above. Additionally, the replacement of the dwellings is not a new use for the parcel. Ken Visser,
I,
Ken Anderson,
Aye.
Franklin Hunt,
Aye.
Wayne Ronigan,
I,
Jim Weezer.
Aye.
Number six, the requests are not use variances and will not have the effect of allowing any use that is not allowed in the zoning district, permit a lower degree of flood protection than the regulatory flood protection elevation, both permit standards lower than those required by Minnesota state law. Staff analysis, the granting of area variances to the front yard, rear yard, Controlled bluff setback requirements do not conflict with any restricted uses. There is no map floodplain on the parcel. There are no state standards applicable to the request. Ken Visser,
I,
Ken Anderson.
Aye.
Franklin,
Aye.
Wayne Ronigan,
Me,
Jim Weezer.
Aye.
Okay, so now is there any more discussion? Before we move on, the public or from the board?
I move we approve the findings.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. I don't know if there's nothing else to talk about, but it's up to the board if they want to make a motion for the variances or if they want to deny it.
Individually or all?
No, well, first we've got to have. If we're gonna pass them, we might just well pass them all one time. Just to go each one because they can't. You're gonna have to have all the variances together, it won't work, will it?
You need all three.
Pardon?
So, you would need separate findings for each
Oh, okay.
one to vote on. So if you vote on all three, it can be as three, that would be once.
Well, if you don't vote on all three of the variances, if it passes or doesn't pass. One won't work without the other, will it?
Right, you need them.
What I'm getting at is they couldn't build without all three of the variances.
Right.
That's what's proposed in front of us, correct?
Yes.
I move we grant the variances as proposed. You want me to read them or it's proposed on the, from your office? I don't.
You want me to read them? I will.
Okay,
Number one, variance of 12 foot and one vote at the end. That we want.
We'll go with, yeah, all the variances.
Number one, variance of 12 feet from the 65 foot front yard setback requirement in section 14.7 subdivision 3 from the center line of Welke Drive to the proposed single family dwelling. Number two, variance of 10 feet from the 50 foot rear yard setback requirement in section 14.9 subdivision 1 from the property line to the north side of the proposed dwelling. Number three, variance of 22 feet from the 25 foot total bluff requirement in section 2917 subdivision 2 from the northeast corner of the proposed structure to the total bluff, pending an approvable design from a professional geotechnical engineer to stabilize this.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second to that motion?
So I'll second it.
Any more discussion on it? Roll call vote.
Ken Anderson,
Aye.
Ken Jessica.
aye.
No,
No. Jim Weezer.
Aye.
so the motion is carried. Is there any other discussion among the board before we adjourn?
I think that's about it.
Motion to adjourn.
So move.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.
On adjournment?
Yeah.
Jim made it, didn't you? Jim made the motion. Or did you make-
I might have seconded it, I don't know.
Yeah.